NFL fans, what is going on? Welcome back to the J All Day Show. I'm on my lunch break and I want to do a little power rankings for you guys after week 7. We have 2 games tonight, but I don't think any of the way these games turn out is really going to influence the way I rank my teams. All right, we're going to start with the worst and work our way up to the best teams in the NFL after 7 weeks. And it's pretty unanimous, right? I think the worst team in the NFL is without a doubt the Carolina Panthers. In every game they lost this year, guys, they have not covered the spread. They've been really, really bad. Next up, we got to go with the New England Patriots. But it's not all dark in New England, right? Drake May has performed very, very well. I think he's got 5 touchdown passes in his first 2 games, and that's behind one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in the NFL. So if they can get Drake May some weapons this offseason and get him some linemen that can actually block, I think Drake May and the Patriots could be a 6 to 8 win team next year. But they'll be lucky to win 5 games this year. That's why my 2 worst teams battling out for the number 1 pick are the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. 32 Carolina, 31 comes in the New England Patriots. The next tier up, we're going to start with the 30th ranked team, and you got to go with the Cleveland Browns in my opinion. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Deshaun Watson's season is over. He tore his Achilles. He's done for the rest of this year and probably some of next year because we're in the middle of the season right now. And those Achilles injuries, especially at his age, is going to take at least a year. So is it going to be Jameis Winston? We'll have to see how that moves forward because their defense is still pretty good. Do they blow it up and start trading some of their assets like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and some of their better defensive players and maybe some even of their good offensive players as we move closer and closer to the trade deadline? We'll have to see what happens. Coming in at number 29, very close, is the Tennessee Titans. They brought in Mason Rudolph to play last week. He didn't fare any better at all whatsoever, right? This team is not very good, but their D-line, I like their D-line. Actually, I like their defense. They're amongst the top of the league in third down defense, red zone defense. They're a pretty equipped unit, but their offensive line is terrible. The quarterback play is an abomination. That's why they come in at number 29 in my power rankings. Coming in at 28 is the New York Football Giants, everybody. They're just, as you can tell, they got beat by a pretty, maybe slightly above average Philadelphia Eagles team. They gave up 8 sacks to a D-line that's not very good. Andrew Thomas is done for the year, their left tackle. I like their front 7, but their secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. I like Brian Burns. I like Dexter Lawrence, but that's about it talent-wise, guys. So on the defensive side of the ball, I do like Malik Neighbors. Daniel Jones is trash. The offensive line is very, very, very bad. And the general manager for that team is just not very good at his job. Letting Saquon Barkley walk was a huge mistake. Letting Xavier McKinney walk, another huge mistake. Both those guys that they let go are having big seasons this year. Just bad. Sheen is not a very good GM. All right, let's move on to number 27. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is definitely not worth the money they're paying him. Gabe Davis is overpaid. Brian Thomas Jr. will be just fine, but he's more of just a deep threat. They need an X's and O guy that can run all the routes on the route tree and not just go balls and deep post, right? They need some comebacks, some curls, some digs, some intermediate crossers. They need that true receiver that can move the sticks. They don't really have that, in my opinion. The offensive line's not very good. The secondary is very, very bad. When Ronald Darby is a starting outside corner for you, you know you're in trouble. And then the last team on this tier is the Raiders. The Raiders have a little bit of talent. I like Max Crosby. Aiden O'Connell broke his thumb, I think. I don't know if it was a thumb or a finger, but he's out the next 4 to 6 weeks. Gardner Minshew came in. He threw 3 picks. That dude absolutely sucks. I do like myself some Brock Bowers. They have a few pieces there, but just not enough to compete for anything in the near future at all whatsoever. They need a quarterback, an absolute field general. They don't have that. That's why they're coming in at number 26 in my power rankings. Let's move on to number 25. 25 for me is the Saints. They started off really hot, but they've been horrendous since then. Derek Carr's hurt. Raheem Shaheed is hurt. And they just didn't have a lot of depth. When I was looking at this roster pre the NFL season, I was like, they don't have a ton of depth at the offensive line position or the skill position players. Alvin Kamara is getting older. I just don't like the way this roster was really constructed. Some of their better defensive players are also older. That's why the Saints are coming in at 25, and I don't expect things to get better or turn around for this team this season. Coming in at number 24 is the Miami Dolphins, a team that has a ton of talent on offense with Hill and Waddle. It looks like Tua is going to come back sooner rather than later, which I don't particularly care for at all. If it was me, I would tell Tua to take the rest of the year off, get his head clear, get to kind of focus on himself a little bit and figure out what he wants to do moving forward. I think coming back in the next few weeks is going to be a huge mistake. Next up is the Arizona Cardinals. I like Kyler Murray, and I like their offense, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., but their offensive line continues to be a problem, and their defense is not very good at all. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL versus the run. I'm not a big fan of this roster at all whatsoever. They need help in a lot of places, and the more draft picks this team can accumulate, the better off they're going to be. So this is 25, 24, 23, and now number 22, it's the New York Jets. Oh, the New York Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers is cooked, guys. They look so bad yesterday playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson had over 100 rate. Aaron Rodgers threw 2 picks, even though one of them wasn't his fault. But he's missing throws. He's getting a lot of balls batted at the line of scrimmage. He just doesn't have it anymore. He's not the guy from 5-6 years ago when he was winning MVPs. Age and the Achilles are really catching up to Aaron Rodgers. And the defense is underperforming, injuries in the secondary. They just don't look very good at all whatsoever. They got blown out by, a decent Steelers team, but not a great team in my opinion. And when Russell Wilson is outplaying you, I think it's time for Aaron Rodgers to hang it up. Next up is the Rams. I like the Rams better than all these teams because I like Matt Stafford better than all the quarterbacks below in these tier lists, right? Cooper Kupp looks like he's going to come back this week. Good. I don't know about Puka Nacua. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if they get Puka Nacua back, Cooper Kupp back, this offense is going to hum. And they're going to be in the middle of the pack, right? They're kind of a little bit lower than the middle of the pack right now. But I think this defense is coming along. They're starting to get a little healthier. The Rams they're just a mediocre team right now, guys. That's all they are right now. Next up is the Indianapolis Colts. They're one of the worst teams with a winning record, in my opinion. They're just beating mediocre teams. I'm not a big Anthony Richardson guy. He's been horrible. He threw for less than 50% of his passes again yesterday. His touchdown to interception ratio is not very good. The defense has actually been playing a little bit better, led by rookie Laiatu Latu had a big sack yesterday. I'm a big fan of Laiatu Latu. When I was scouting defensive players, he was the best defensive player in the draft for me. And he's getting more and more comfortable in this defense and looks really, really good. I do like Shane Steichen, their head coach, and their wide receiver room is decent, but Anthony Richardson really needs to stop with the turnovers, right? They're a middle of the pack kind of team, in my opinion. Next up on this list is the Cincinnati Bengals. I love their offense. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, great. Chase Brown is okay at the running back position, but the defense has really been underperforming this year. They barely got by the Giants 2 weeks ago. They barely got by the Browns. They got the Eagles coming up. The defense is not very good at all, but you can't count out Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, right? So that's why they're coming in at number 19 on my power rankings this year. Next up is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are here right now and in front of these two teams because they're just riddled with injuries. And if they can get Micah Parsons back, I think they'll be okay. And I do like CeeDee Lamb. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And Dak Prescott has hit a rough patch. And the Cowboys are definitely sliding down these power rankings. They find themselves at number 18 right now, but they could find themselves in the 20s next week if they come out in week 8 and look as bad as they did last week. Not great for the Cowboys. Not great at all whatsoever. So we have them at number 18. Coming in at number 17 for me, a big loss last week is the Atlanta Falcons, man. They looked really bad against the Seahawks team that was absolutely reeling, flying across the country, changing time zones on their four-string right tackle, and the Falcons looked really bad. 9 penalties, 3 turnovers. They looked very, very bad. That's why they've slid a little bit in my power rankings down to number 17. Coming in at number 16 is the Denver Broncos, who I think talent-wise are a little overachieving right now. I don't think there's a ton of talent on that roster, but Sean Payton has the defense playing really well and an offense that's not turning the ball over and doing the little things to win these tough games, right? Not a lot of talent on that offense outside of Courtland Sutton, but I think in the middle of the pack, coming in at 16 is right where they need to be. All right, guys, now we're into the top 15 for Jay All Day's power rankings. Chicago Bears come in at number 15 for me. And then next up is Seattle. The Bears look pretty good. They're moving up these power rankings. We'll see how they play this week. The defense is playing decent, and the offense is starting to come along. Caleb Williams is looking more and more comfortable, so that's why I have them at 15. Seattle has a little bit better of a roster, I think, in my opinion. With the wide receiver room is really good there. I like Geno Smith. He's, not a great quarterback, but he's serviceable. DK Metcalf, we'll have to check out that injury moving forward. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker. That is a very, very solid offense, right? And the defense with Mike McDonald, he's getting a unit that doesn't have a lot of talent playing pretty well. That's why I have them at number 14. Coming in at number 13, another team I think that's overachieving a little bit talent-wise is the Chargers, right? Not a ton of talent on offense, but a defense that's playing really, really good. They're like top 5 in every single category. The defense for the Chargers is playing great. And you got to love Justin Herbert. I like Herbert more than I like Geno Smith and Caleb Williams right now. So that's why I have the Chargers and that defense coming in at number 13. Number 12 is the Philadelphia Eagles. The offense is great, right? Jalen Hurts is playing better and better the last couple of weeks. No turnovers the past 2 weeks. They played crap teams, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. But A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert when he's healthy, that's like some of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. And, I forgot to mention Saquon Barkley, who balled out for a touchdown over 170 yards rushing. This offense is unbelievable, but the defense is terrible. They had a good week against the Giants, but their offensive line is in shambles. I don't believe in this defense at all whatsoever. We'll have to see how they progress. The Eagles have a very easy stretch of games for the next few weeks, so we'll have to see. Once they play good teams, can this Eagles team stop a good offense? They haven't played a good offense in a while. They're playing a good offense this week in the Bengals, so we'll see where that goes. They're coming in at number 12. Coming in at number 11, an underachieving San Francisco 49ers team. I think this team is better than what they're playing right now. They're just underperforming right now. They got to take a step back, take a breath, get healthy a little bit. Debo was, dealing with an illness. Ayuk could be an ACL or MCL injury. So if he's out, I don't think that's that big of a deal because they do have Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall, who I loved in college, right? He's back and healthy after being shot. So the 49ers are at number 11, but they could have a bus pass to the 20s very, very soon if they keep losing football games. All right, now we're in my top 10. Tampa Bay Buccaneers come in at number 10. Defense is a little underachieving in my opinion, but Baker Mayfield leads the NFL in touchdown passes with Evans and Godwin. The offense is looking really good. I like the running back room a little bit. Bucky Irving I like more than Rachaad White. I like him. And then number 9, we got Houston. They've been very bad on the road. The Packers really, really shut them down. Great performance by the Packers yesterday. Even though Jordan Love continues to throw a lot of interceptions that I'm a little concerned about, right? Next up, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are an interesting team. The first half, that Titans game was way too close for comfort. They took over in the second half, but it took them a little while to kind of break away from a team that's not very good. I think the Buffalo Bills, are slotted right in that 8 to 10-ish range. We'll have to see that. I want to see James Cook get healthy and see what they can do with Amari Cooper going forward. I think they're a top 10 team for sure. Next up is Washington, right? This kind of tier right here, you could flip-flop any of these teams and I wouldn't be mad at you at all whatsoever. I like the Commanders because they're in command, no pun intended, of their offense, right? The defense has been playing better. Dan Quinn is getting a lot out of a unit that doesn't have a lot of talent. We'll have to see and keep our eye on this Jaden Daniels injury. But Mariota came in and played very well, so we'll see what happens. I like them in this spot for sure. And number 6, coming in, Green Bay Packers. Big win over the Texans. The defense is getting better each and every week. I was really impressed how they shut down C.J. Stroud. The Texans were missing their number 1 receiver in Nico Collins, so we got to remember that. But they really shut down C.J. Stroud, under 100 yards passing. Very, very impressive. Jordan Love's got to stop the turnovers, because when you start to play really good teams, you can't win by being bad on third down and throwing a lot of picks, right? All right, let's move into my top 5. We got the Baltimore Ravens at number 5. I love their offense. Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson. There's not a better offense in the NFL, guys. But the defense is not the defense of the past. They're giving up a lot of yards, a lot of points. That's why they're at number 5. Number 4, it's going to surprise some people, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin might be the best coach in the NFL. Straight up. Straight up, Mike Tomlin, what he's doing with that team is unbelievable. They got Alex Highsmith back, and we saw just how much they can disrupt games when Highsmith and Watt are in the game at the same time. They were in Aaron Rodgers' lap all game, and Russell Wilson was a little slow out of the gate, but he really turned it on and played very, very well. He's just better than Justin Fields. Hate on me if you want, but Justin Fields, he's very athletic. He can pick up some first downs with his legs, but he can't throw the football for shit. I like Russell Wilson. I like him in there at that spot. Number 3, still the Minnesota Vikings, even though they lost to the Detroit Lions. Next up is the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes continues to not play well, straight up. I think he had 2 more interceptions. He's been not good this year, but they've been winning games by the skin of their teeth, and the Chiefs somehow have a very easy schedule this year. And the number 1 team, I'm telling you, the Detroit Lions. What they did against Minnesota was very impressive on the road. Jared Goff has been perfect the last few weeks. He's unbelievable. In my opinion, Jared Goff is the MVP of the NFL right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been unreal too. The running backs are great. Ben Johnson is the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. Hey, Ben, there might be a coaching opportunity in Philly. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. All right, there's my top 5. Number 1, Lions. 2, Chiefs. 3, Vikings. 4, Steelers. 5 are the Ravens. All right, guys, if you take a look at the screen, if you go from right to left, you see the order of each tier. Number 6 is the Packers. 11 is the 49ers. 16 is the Broncos. 21 is the Rams. 26 is the Raiders. And coming in at the bottom, 32 is Carolina. And 31 is the New England Patriots. That's my power rankings as we move on from Week 7 and go into Week 8. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.